What's up, everyone? Welcome back to your favorite DFS show of the week, Tournament Tactics. It's NFL Week 11, and we've got the quad GOAT team in the house to break down everything we need to know about the NFL Week 11 main slate. Bobby Millions, Josiah, Shark Lab, Burns, all together again, and we're gonna take a look at the NFL Week 11 slate, break it down for you. And guys, I want to get right into some serious business here. The elephant in the room for NFL Week 11, the turd floating in the punch bowl. We all see it. No one wants to talk about it. No one wants to acknowledge its existence. The RB position this week is treacherous. Absolutely treacherous. The whole slate really is interesting because, a lot of the key teams are kind of off the slate. The Bills situation kind of settling down a little bit here, but generally the RB position, I think, is going to be where fortunes are made in. Is that the one Chad Pennington video? Yes. It's my favorite player. The hell? It's my favorite Jet of all time. We ripping on Chad? Hurtful, Big Marley. But yeah, getting into the RB position and just this is something we're really going to have to take a deep dive into, guys, because I'm getting alternative with it. I'm getting crazy at running back this week because I just can't stomach a lot of the big name options at the position group. And of course, we've got, another week where Justin Fields climbing the salary ladder. So we've really got a lot to talk about this week and figure out how to attack tournaments and all of that. So, Josiah, how are you seeing this slate as a general, what's your overview? What's your broad takeaway here?
Yeah. I mean, I think this game in this entire slate is really a Josh Allen and Justin Fields slate, like the last few weeks have been. And I think that's the most plus EV way of thinking about it. And that's the way I'm probably going to play it too. There's definitely some pivots that we'll talk about that are fun, but the safer guys, the ones that make the most sense, that still have a ton of upside somehow, are Justin Fields and Josh Allen for me. The running backs, yeah.
Another, and Burns, the running backs are crazy. Burns, another feature, an interesting feature, and it's not just the Week 11 at this point, but for me, it's more like the latter half of the season. Salaries seem to really be catching up with expectations. And what I noticed, and this is really interesting, what I noticed going through the player list, and I want to mention a lot of these names, is a lot of the players now are legitimately priced to their ceiling. Like some of these, a good portion, especially this is definitely a big time thing at the upper echelon of running back this week, which is why, again, it's confounding me. But a lot of these guys are priced for a ceiling game. Like if Saquon Barkley does not have a ceiling game and he's not even going to make value, like that's it. It's either hit your ceiling or you crush my lineup. Nick Chubb is that way. Dalvin Cook is that way. A lot of these guys, like their best case scenario is what they're priced for. So there's no real upside. I mean, where's Barkley? Barkley at 9K on DraftKings FanDuel. Where's he getting? Was he getting a 40? Because he needs a 40 just to kind of make value. The guy hasn't hit 40 yet this season. He is priced to the ceiling. What do you do in that scenario, Burns? What does the Shark Lab do in this situation?
Honestly, I don't know if you can go with Barkley this week just because of that. I mean, if he's only going to get you 3.5x, I mean, you're basically wasting those lineups on him because they're not going to win you a big tournament like 20K plus entrant tournament. You got to have those 6K guys in there that are going to be able to do it. And we'll probably go over those 6K guys that could actually hit, 25 plus on the points. So I don't think you need Saquon Barkley this week, even though the Giants are in a favorable matchup against Detroit.
Yeah, it's more just the general having guys priced around their ceiling and trying to figure out, is it worth it to play them? Should I just be like, all right, no. Barkley is setting up as one of the chalkiest players of the week. So, BobbyWow, you're a tournament player. All you do is take down DraftKings Millie Makers. It's like every other week. Maybe not. It feels like no, not true. What do you do in these situations? Are you sticking to players that have more, like these guys that are priced to the ceiling, even though they're sexy names, even though they're studly, right? Do you say, you know what? All right, let the field have that. Let me get my upside guys, or you just let the projections, let the projection models take the wheel. How do you attack this situation?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a mix for me, right? Like running back position especially affords you some flexibility on these slates and tournaments. So you don't necessarily have to say, no, I'm going to be all in on Saquon, or I'm going to be all out on Saquon. I love getting a big mix of the pool this week. And I hate to bring it back to like 2014 at this point when I took down that tournament, but like, I think I had 8% of Mark Ingram or something, right? The point is you don't need to go nuts on slates like this. If the variance is crazy, if there aren't a lot of options, get a good mix. And that to me is the best way to approach a week like this.
I'm pulling up the DFS Army chalkboard, and here's what's wild. Like, again, look who the chalk is, right, at running back, and we're starting to see it gather here. We've got our QB group, and we'll go through all of those as well. And that's kind of where I want to get into now. But man, Josh Jacobs at Denver, that's not normally a spot you're trying to attack, and yet there it is.
It's like a pure usage play, right? Like Josh Jacobs has been crushing it this year, so it's like, yeah, let's play Josh Jacobs against one of the best defenses. I mean, Ramondre,
now splitting touches, that's going to be the chalk against the Jets. It's not such a good spot, and so there's a lot of weirdness going on here, and we're gonna have to sift through it and get some of it figured out. So let's get into the games here and talk about quarterbacks and how we're going to attack some tournaments. Straight up, one of the things I like to do is try to figure out like what the chalk will be. I believe the highest owned quarterback this week is likely to be Justin Fields once again. The chalkboard agrees, and forgetting the actual number because this will change on Saturday again, and these change a lot between now and game day, but Justin Fields looking like the top owned. I think Josh Allen will climb up into that echelon now that we're getting confident that he's going to be indoors. Oh my goodness, indoors. Josh Allen on the carpet with we want a piece of that. And then, I do kind of agree with Dak Prescott as the third. After that, it gets really weird this week. Josiah, you're a player that sometimes will go really tight with your QB pool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm still figuring out if it's going to be that kind of week for me. But I like Dak Prescott. I was surprised that he was chalk just because he's been not great this year. So I'm kind of disappointed to hear that he's going to be chalk. But I think I'll probably have like a six guys in my player pool. It's going to be Justin Fields, Dak Prescott, Josh Allen, Kirk Cousins, and then I'll save my other two for later. But those are like my four.
You got Kirk Cousins in there, who did not make my pool.
Mm-hmm.
I understand why he's there, but he did not make mine because that matchup's not that great and just hasn't been doing it. But yeah, I mean, it's hard once you get past. For me, so the way I broke it down is Justin Fields, Josh Allen, 1A, and then distant 1B was actually for me Jalen Hurts. And it's a distant one because he's the same price, but I just think he's lesser of a play than the other two by a lot. And then it's like, if I'm not saving, what am I doing here? So Lamar, not even in my player pool at all.
That's my last guy. Those are my last two right there, Geek. Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, and those two are just like the same price as the other ones, but less good. So it's hard for me to like them because they're lesser. And then, of course, it's like, all right, who can I pay down? And that's where I think Dak comes from. It's like, all right, is there anybody I can kind of save some money with here this week and still kind of feel okay about? Dak is that guy for me. And then I was looking for sub, even cheaper players on the Daniel Jones. I can't get down with it. Marcus Mariota.
BobbyWow. I'm not doing it, but I get it.
I mean, it's, if you want to save some salary, that's all. What would BobbyWow do in this spot?
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys have pretty much nailed the position. I'm going to have some exposure, and it's going to get a little ugly. I like Danny Dimes. I do. I know you don't like him, Geek.
Good
He's
luck picking
really,
a stack with him.
he's so cheap though, man. He's so cheap. I don't even know that you need to stack him, honestly. Like he's, what is he, 5,500, somewhere in that range? Really cheap.
57.
Another guy, and you're gonna really hate this one. If Jerry Judy's in, I'm gonna
He's
have
out.
some Russell Wilson. He's officially out.
It's officially out.
Okay.
It
Maybe
does
not
open up,
Russell Wilson stacks then. We'll see.
him being out opens up my super sneaky Kendall Hinton.
Oh,
play.
geez. Here we go. Yeah, we'll get there. I think the other guy that I like is Jared Goff. I think if I'm paying down, Jared Goff is another guy that I have some interest in as well.
Mm-hmm.
I can accept
tough, though.
the Jared Goff play a little bit. Burns, what does the Shark Lab tell us about the QB position this week?
I mean, it's on everybody that you've already touched base on with, especially with Allen. Now he's going indoors. I mean, the reason why the line was so low on that game was because they were projecting to have 6 feet of snow this weekend in Buffalo. Now that they're moving the game to Detroit indoors, you saw the line shoot straight up to 48.5 right now currently. I think I like Danny Dimes this week. I got a sneaky low own play to stack him up with. He's in a great matchup, and I think it gets you off of the chalk with Saquon Barkley. And I think it could actually do well this week with Danny Dimes rushing for maybe 1 or 2 touchdowns.
You like Wandale? Is that who you like, or Darius Hayward Slayton?
No,
It's neither of those,
No.
right? There's
No. It's the bare minimum wide receiver Hodgins.
yeah.
There you go.
He'll be about a 1% owned.
So the story with Isaiah Hodgins, he is a former Bill Brian Daboll guy, just comes onto the team.
He's
Probably-
popping off of my model.
Yeah,
is what he's doing.
Knows the system, got some work last week. Yeah, as far as a 3K stone min salary guy that's going to get snaps, that is comfortable with what the team is doing because he's familiar with the offensive game plan, so to speak. Could do worse.
Yeah, like I said, guys, what do you guys think? Oh, go ahead. I was going to ask, what do you guys think about Joe Burrow this week? He's facing the Steelers. The Steelers are ranked 6th in the league in regards to how they defend quarterbacks. Joe Burrow hasn't looked like the same guy since Chase has gone down. Any interest?
I thought I heard Chase maybe active this week, but he hasn't really practiced at all this week, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, he's officially out.
He's officially out. Okay.
Yeah.
I do like Burrow this week. I think he's the matchup
he fits
is
the Burns formula.
Yeah, he's there. The only aspect that I don't like about the game is the low over under.
Mm-hmm.
But and that's forcing the implied team total down. But I do like the play because Pittsburgh is so they bleed points to the wide receivers. I don't know if I really like Hayden Hurst in this one, but I do like a stack with either Higgins and or Boyd in this one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I already bet the Steelers.
Did you?
Taking
You
the
like them that much, huh?
It's one of those scenes where the return of Watt, the division rivalry. I kind of think that the Steelers will just be a little better defensively than they've been. It's more of a hunch thing than it is like any sort of metrics. Obviously, the Steelers have had the worst defense in the league against opposing quarterbacks. I don't know if that's obvious, but they've had one of the worst defenses in the league against opposing quarterbacks and specifically the wide receiver position. So on paper, it looks really good for Burrow, and he's definitely in the mix of quarterbacks. But, if, as Big Marley asked, that would not be the guy that I would use in my one King of the Beach ticket, right? It's not Burrow.
Though he did really well this week last year.
In the King of the Beach?
Yeah. I made a bad choice. I'm still
Last year?
salty about it.
I
had the lineup I had, it would have won not only the King of the Beach to get in, but it would have won the whole week. It was It was about a 212, 215, somewhere in that range points. And it was Mixon, Jamar, Burrow lineup.
You did a crazy Bengal stack, but you didn't then chose not to put it in your King of the Beach entry.
Yeah, I'm salty about it.
That's never fun. Notice you can put out millions of lineups, but that's the one you remember because you wanted it so bad. That sucks. But yeah, I mean, Burrow's in the mix, but you're right, Josiah. He's been less good since Jamar Chase has been out because they're just, T. Higgins is actually an okay, but wide receiver, but you kind of need all three. Like he needs his full crew together. And what we've noticed is a little bit more mix-in because like less pass catching mouths to feed, so to speak. So they just run it a little bit more. And that's kind of what we've been seeing. I think Burrow can have an okay game, but like I said, that's not the one I'd be putting in the King of the Beach. He's not one of my tops. I think, like I said, for me, if I was making a decision between the top quarterback on the slate, how did these guys outscore? Josh Allen is giving you 30 points every week.
It's Josh Allen for me.
For me, yeah. That's the way I'd go.
He gives you 30 every week. And he's not that different in price. Like, especially on FanDuel, they're the same price. On FanDuel, it's really an easier decision. Although I will still say that Fields has that upside. I think that's above. And don't doubt the Fields play. Again, sometimes, all right, let's do a little psychology, guys.
Uh-oh.
This is DFS psychology. Guys playing well, right? We're on BobbyWow, DFS up north. This show getting us on the Fields trend 2-3 weeks before the field got on it. BobbyWow, I mean, since week 5, you're talking about Fields on the show. DFS up north putting Fields in the 3 for 3 every single week, right? We've been all over it. Now you start to feel, now, of course, that was at 5K and 6. So the psychology is now you're kind of starting to feel like a donkey for chasing last week's performance, right? And the GPP player in us, the contrarian, little contrarian guy in the back of your mind is going, don't be a donkey, right? And he speaks like that because he's little. Oh, don't be a donkey. Is your GPP contrarian guy speaking that voice, or it's just mine? You guys are looking at me like it's just my voice in my head. That's what he said.
Oh man,
right? He doesn't want me to be a donkey. Like, oh, no, don't be a donkey.
I'm just glad you're admitting you have voices in your head, Geek.
Yeah, oh yeah. You see me? I sit in the basement all day. I don't see people but once or twice a week when I come out. Of course, I talk to myself and you guys. So, but you know what I'm saying? Like, this is not a scenario where a donkey for Justin Fields' role on this team has absolutely changed. Like what they are doing with him now, it's not like, oh, he's going to revert back to weeks 1 through 4. BobbyWow, you watch every Bears game religiously. They are not. This is not an accident. They have turned Justin Fields essentially into a one-read running back, just like Robert Griffin was. He's running. They are running the football. No. That's what they're doing. He's not standing in the pocket and waiting, and they're not telling him to do that. They're saying if you don't see anything, your first read isn't there, you go. And we're not going to worry about the kind of things that Lamar Jackson's team is worried about. Oh, well, you can't run all the time. You're going to get hurt. First of all, Fields is much bigger than Lamar Jackson.
Jeez. Knock on wood, Geek. My lord.
No, I don't care. I am not here to DJ.
Hey, Cam Newton was big too.
I don't care about that, Bobby. Wow. I don't care about that. I'm just pointing out what's going on with this team. He's a larger player, and they just want him to run the football because he's much better at that than he is at trying to stand there. They don't have any wide receivers. They understand it. Hey, we screwed up. We forgot to have wide receivers on the team. We didn't think you'd be able to throw it to them, so we didn't get any. We messed up. Like the team's like, but let's make do with what we've got. So you know how Fields fails this week if like Montgomery goes bananas.
Yep. Which is possible.
Which I think they both go bananas together,
possible.
though. I don't even think that causes him to fail. I don't even think that causes him to fail. It's the best defense in the league to be going up against. As like what better could you ask for? The only defense that you'd probably want to target more than Atlanta right now is Chicago. It's the same game. So my point is, you're not a donkey chasing last week. A lot of people are going to say, and I'm telling you, the tournament players are going to say, I'm a tournament player, so I just don't feel comfortable playing Fields because it feels like I'm chasing, and that's not what I do. What I'm saying is I'm giving you permission. Don't worry about it. I gave permission last week for the same exact thing. We had this conversation on this show last week. I said, I'm giving you permission to not worry about being a donkey and chasing the 40 from the week before. He can do it again. What did he do, guys? He did it again.
That's true.
He did it.
And I would take it a step further, Geek, and I would say if that contrarian voice in your head is talking, and it certainly is.
I think I know where you're going.
Mine sounds like Geek, by the way.
Oh, it sounds like my voice, my regular voice.
Your voice is my contrarian voice. I think this is the week where you take some shots on Chicago Bears wide receivers.
Yes.
So you take some shots on some Justin Fields stacks with a Chase Claypool, with a Darnell Mooney. That's the way that you combat the ownership piece. And I think we're going to see more and more as the Bears become more and more irrelevant in the playoff picture. We're going to see Getsy designing plays where Justin Fields is airing the ball out. We know he can run the football. Everyone knows he can run the football. Let's see what he can do through the air. So I think over the coming weeks, we're going to see the wide receivers, as bad as they are, integrated more and more. So this is the week I would start stacking with not Cole Kmet as much, but maybe the wide receivers, though. Give me Mooney and give me Claypool on some of these Justin Fields stacks.
And on top of that, like the Falcons are ranked last in the league when it comes to defending the wide receiver position. So it just makes a ton of sense to play guys like, and like you guys said, my contrarian voice, it was going. I don't know what it sounds like yet. Maybe it's still developing. It's still developing.
You have a strong contrarian approach to the game.
And it was definitely saying we're playing Claypool today. That's how we're getting different, and we're playing Claypool.
There you go.
So that's exactly the take it that satisfied the voice enough.
And you know, part of what tournament tactics is all about is getting leverage on the field and looking for different ways to do it. And what I wanted to push there was, don't feel like the only way you're doing that is fading Fields, because when Fields puts up 40 and you didn't play him, you might as well shut the computer off. Bachelor in Paradise is on. Throw it on Sunday night. You ain't winning shit.
That's a good point, Geek. I'm glad you brought that up. That's good.
Yeah, really important stuff. So the other thing...
Basketball is on Sunday nights.
There's basketball. Basketball started?
Yeah.
I thought NBA started December. What the hell are they doing?
Started.
The Chicago Bulls thought it started in December too.
I'm also hearing from everybody in DFS Army about this European football stuff that's going on in Qatar. Like, I'm supposed to turn off NFL games.
Hey, well, our soccer coaches are really good.
Our soccer coach is spectacular. By the way, on that note, we are, of course, over in DFS Army, we have awesome coverage for all of these things, including soccer. And we've got a great team of NBA. We were just talking, you guys were just talking about it, like the NHL and like the unsung heroes in DFS Army, just crushing hockey every single week. Do you know our hockey team has been like top 2 in accuracy by independent measure the last 3 or 4 years in a row over on Daily Overlay? I'm like, we are? Because so I never get to mess with it during NFL season. I never see it. But they have been ranked in the top 2 or 3 almost every single year that we've been measured, which is the last 4 or 5 years. The soccer team is really, really awesome as well. So we will have World Cup covered. We got a bunch of European subscribers that I'm like, guys, get it. They know every European knows everything about soccer.
Yep.
They all do.
Everyone.
I was like, USA, they started laughing at me. I'm like, I don't know. Team USA, baby. Apparently we suck. Apparently Team USA is not that good. But yeah, we've got all that covered
this year. I don't know.
Yeah. Get in.
We made it
now. Get signed up.
That's true. We made it.
We made it. We made it to FIFA World Cup this year. I think
we're about to get taken out in round 1 by Guam.
I think the last FIFA World Cup they were relegated or something. They didn't make it. So
couldn't tell you. Didn't watch any of it.
But yeah.
Classic soccer score right there by Brutus.
1-0. Great game.
United States after the first round, they finished 0-0, three ties. No one scored. We just play keep away. Anyway, all right. So other wide receivers. So we talked about quarterbacks. We talked about Justin Fields. Love Justin Fields. And just to show on screen, BobbyWow, what you were talking about just before, Atlanta. I mean, this is what I'm saying. Atlanta giving up almost 8 points per game above mean expectation to opposing wide receivers. There's no team worse outside of maybe Pittsburgh and Tennessee a little bit. Tennessee,
Minnesota.
Yeah, but they're right up there, and that's why we loves me. Listen, I don't want to talk about my boy CeeDee Lamb, but I love CeeDee Lamb this week as well.
Hey,
I love
I love
Gallup.
CeeDee Lamb last week. I was all over him on my little sheet.
He
but
was the
CeeDee
guy.
Lamb this week too. It's gonna be nice.
He
I
was
like
the guy
Gallup
last
this week. The
So-
WR2.
What's that?
WR2 Gallup. Boom.
If Gallup does it this week,
Yeah.
you know, Gallup is one of those plays that you need to force into your lineups. The optimizer will not throw him in there because the projection is low. So that's one of those correlative stacks. I don't think, and on that note, I'm glad you mentioned Gallup. Gallup is the kind of player where if he's smashing, Dak is smashing.
Mhm.
Like Dak needs a little more than just CeeDee Lamb going off. If Gallup is having that day, then Dak is having that day. So you want to get that stack going. That WR2 with QB thing, I'm telling you, it
feeds into that theory. Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, it is one of those things that I've just seen is really, really consistent. All right, let's get away from. So if we're going to play Josh Allen, and I want to go around the room with this because he's the other sort of high-level quarterback on this slate. Josh Allen, indoors, amazing, right? Love it. Except here's the problem. It's really expensive to stack him with Diggs. Like it's restrictive to stack him with Diggs. Gabriel Davis is fine, but you know, Davis got that low floor. What do you do with Allen? I want to play a lot of Allen, but you know, once you start Allen Diggs this week, man, the rest of your lineup looks like really, really, it looks just bad. It looks horrible. So do you just say whatever, YOLO, I'll play a bunch of punts and make it work? Or is that something that might make you think, even though I love Josh Allen this week, maybe stacking him up in the Millie Maker isn't how I'm going to do it? And, you know, I'll start with you, Josiah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the easiest thing to do is Josh Allen and Gabe Davis. Like, that's what the optimizer loves a ton. Like, when I just run QB +1, that was easy. But I like to get a little bit of Dawson Knox in there as well to kind of shake things up. Easy pairing because he's dirt cheap. And
That does make it work.
yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing there. And I'll have Diggs too a little bit. Like BobbyWow said earlier, I'll probably be under the field because it's so hard to match it for me with my lineups, but I'll have some pieces. So hopefully I'll have enough.
Let's do the math here, right? BobbyWow, Diggs on
And
DraftKings.
McKenzie too is an option as well. if I can say.
McKenzie's so meh.
He's
I
the
like
dart
Knox.
throw though. Like he's the dart punt throw you were talking about. The ceiling. Hope he gets a big
Or
throw
Khalil
vertical.
Shakir. That guy could be in there too. He's getting snaps.
Jeez.
I need to check the matchups.
Now
to
we're
see
getting
what snaps are.
desperate, but
Khalil
Shakir
Shakir
could happen. too.
showdown. Khalil Shakir.
He missed the showdowns. Josh Allen is 8,500. Diggs is 8,300. These are DraftKings prices, right? So you combine that, you're talking 16, about 17K. You know, 4x, 21, 28, 4.
Yeah, 4.7K left.
It's bad enough you have 4.7K left, but the first thing is how many points do we need? We need, just from that pairing, you're talking 17 times 4, so 68, almost 70 fantasy points just to keep pace with 200, 35 and 35. It's doable, but what I would say is there's not a lot more. Again, it's very priced to the ceiling. Like you don't really, it's hard to see that going and being 80 points. You know, both of them scoring 40 is like, when does that happen? You know what I mean? Like you're probably, your best case, if it's a miracle, is you hit 4x. That's my point there with that one. It's really, really going to be unlikely to surpass that ceiling. Although I would say the ceiling for Josh Allen is pretty good chance he gets there. BobbyWow, what do you say? BobbyWow, what do you say?
Yeah. I'm with you guys. I don't want to have much of Diggs and Allen this week. I think it's Allen and Davis for me. Dawson Knox has been really bad.
So bad.
I mean, he's super, super cheap, so I'll have some of that as well, but I'll be primarily Allen and Davis.
And Burns, anything?
I mean, I was watching the game towards the conclusion of the Buffalo game last week when they were pushing to go into overtime. And the only time Allen really was looking at Knox was basically towards that last drive and the end of the game, where he was doing those, split outs to the sidelines to get out of play and then score the field goal at the end there to force overtime. They don't really utilize Knox all that much. But yeah, I do like Gabriel Davis a lot more with stacks with Allen versus Diggs because of the fact that you save 2K on the WR, and that's a big thing. You need that $2,000 to get up to a better running back this week if you can afford it.
Or
The Browns are also one of the best teams in the league. They're fourth at defending against the tight end, so a little bit of risk there too.
Absolutely.
Weirdly, they happen to be terrible against running backs. And what if they just go back to Singletary a little bit heavier than anybody's thinking? Although, leaning heavy on Singletary, even last week in the most perfect setup, with
so
2
mad.
touchdowns, still only got you 16 points. Like, that is horrible. And, that might be one of the worst 2 touchdown scores you've ever seen. The 16 on a double touchdown day. So much better. Like I said, last week we loaded up on him on FanDuel, and that was awesome. And it was a much, much better relative score on FanDuel compared to what we got on DraftKings. All right, so let's go now to sort of alternative quarterbacks spots here. Burns, with Dak, are you stacking him with 2 or 1? Let's start there. Are you stacking with 2 in general or with 1? And then with Dak specifically?
The way I would approach this game if I'm stacking with 2 is I'm going to stack either Gallup and CeeDee Lamb with Schultz. I don't know if you can actually make the lineup work really well to have both CeeDee Lamb, Gallup stacked with Dak and make it look good with all the other positions in your lineup. I think I can look at it right now, but I think it kind of makes it a little tough. But I do like Schultz.
Enough. You can make it work, but I do love me some Schultz. Been on the Schultz bandwagon for a while. And
right when Dak started again.
Yeah, it's just I didn't understand it. I've been saying it week after week. He's still underpriced, by the way. So
he's 5,100. If you have them all in there,
Gallup is 5,100.
Yeah. If you have them in there, you get 30,800 left, which is 5,133 per position. So
I think it's acceptable. You wouldn't have no problem. You would have no problem creating that 3-person stack. They haven't thrown to Gallup very much. I think Dak is a +2 guy. And I think you can include Pollard in that, but I won't because Pollard's overpriced relative to the role now.
I agree
with that.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about some of these other quarterbacks to potential. Let's get
Mayfield. Are we gonna talk about Mayfield?
Yeah.
I was gonna ask.
No, I was just curious. Like, the Ravens aren't known for having a great secondary. Like, maybe Baker comes out and wants to continue to be a quarterback. I have no faith in him. I have absolutely zero faith in him.
Hell no. No.
That was great timing.
No.
We'll always have that second half a couple weeks ago, though.
Yeah, that second half was great.
No.
That was. I'm gonna have to probably remember that for the next 2 years. That DJ Moore catch. I'm gonna put it on something behind me so you guys can see it forever.
No one can ever take that away from us.
Nope.
I think I'd rather have Russell Wilson than Baker Mayfield. But
I don't need any of that. But yeah, I just wanted to mention him at least. Thought it was worth a mention.
No, it's a no to Baker. I got a phone ring. Can you guys hear the phone ring in the background?
I did.
My mic is picking that up.
Sounds like you're in a cubicle with the conference.
It sounds like the old school phone.
I have
phones from 1960.
There's a business phone in my office. I don't answer it, but it
Can
rings.
you send it to different rooms in the house? All right.
It's a business phone. There's an answering machine. I haven't checked it yet.
And we got the Bobs. And we got the Bobs too.
So anyway,
Office Space. Yeah, that action go.
There we go.
Let's go. I love that.
I want to get into some gross milli maker stacks if we want to get silly with it. And let me be clear, because somebody commented afterwards, like, you guys give all these crappy. When we talk about some of these alternative ones, I don't know how to be more clear. I love Fields. I like Allen. Those are the primaries.
Those are the guys.
That's it. That's what I'm building around. But if you want to get crazy in the milli maker, right? You want to kind of do something different. You want to be, hey, what if they fail? What if Fields fails? He could absolutely fail. So what are some alternative QB stacks or plays that we can take a look at? And I just want to go around. There's not that many of them this week. I'll throw the quarterbacks up on the screen here. Jameis Winston, Jared Goff is in the mix this week. Mariota, Danny Jones. I can't even mention Russell Wilson. He's so terrible. He's not. I don't want to mention him. We already talked about Dak and Burrow. So let's go around the room and give me one dirty stack this week that feels gross, makes you want to throw up a little bit, but screw it, I'm throwing it in the Millie Maker. And Josiah, it's not Baker, is it?
No, it's not Baker. It's not Baker. But it maybe worse. No, Lamar Jackson and Devin Duvernay. It's like my gross stack. I'm not a big fan of Duvernay. That might not be as gross as you thought, but I've never been that high on Duvernay, so I felt gross having him in my lineup.
That is pretty gross. That's a gross one. But I get it. Listen, Lamar is Lamar, and he's got that upside. For me, I actually looked at it. Lamar did not make my sheet this week because I said, you know what? I'm not playing this guy when I've got these other guys for the same price. So but I totally get it. He has 40-point upside. That can happen at any time. BobbyWow, what about you?
I'm gonna go Russ and Cortland Sutton.
Russ cooking. Pretty gross, but yeah, they're up against the Vegas. It's supposed to be gross. You did not sound confident saying that one though, BobbyWow. You almost felt like
only because you prefaced this question with how much you hate Russ. That's what gave me some
I do,
pause.
but I mean, I hate all of these guys this week. It's not like, I'm excited about Marcus Mariota, but I kind of think I want to play Marcus Mariota in that spot because at least he has like a little bit of upside with his legs. Like, I don't know. And he's cheap. The key for me is if I can save the 2K, I'm looking at Fields as my like standard bearer. If I'm not saving, maybe that 2K, I can apply it somewhere and try to allow for the fact that this quarterback that I don't think will score as many fantasy points as Fields, it'll be okay because I saved the 2K. So I need some savings.
And that was my point from earlier too. Like, if you stack Fields with any one of those, Darnell Mooney, Chase Claypool, that's your savings. You're done. I mean, you've already saved right there, even Cole Kmet. So that's my point with Fields is that's an easy way around trying to save a quarterback.
They let Taco out of the NASCAR room because the championships happen, and he's like, "Oh shit, football season started? Really? When did that start? Good to see you, my man." Burns, what about you? Some dirty, gross Millie Maker only stacks straight from the Shark Lab.
I'll have. I know a lot of people don't like Jalen Hurts, but I'll have him. I'll have him paired up with Devonta Smith. I may not go with AJ Brown this week because of the cost savings that I can get with Devonta Smith. But super gross. Don't even want to go there with even 1% of my lineup is Matthew Stafford and Allen Robinson.
No,
like I said, I don't even want to go there. So
hell no, to the no.
Oh no, bro.
Like I said, you said you wanted gross, so I gave you gross.
I don't mean that bad.
But I prefaced it. That
I don't mean that bad. So
1%.
My dirty stack for NFL Week 11 is Kenny two-tap Pickett to George Pickens. No one's touching that one. No one thought about it. That's where I'm going. I'll get a couple of percentage points on Kenny Pickens in a less difficult matchup than every other one that he's had so far, hoping that works out. And I mentioned Mariota before as well. I think Mariota is in the mix. Again, 2-3%, 4% levels. I'm not going crazy here, but a couple of points on Mariota just in case. But realistically, if you just load it up on the good players this week at quarterback, let's figure out how to get different at running back. And that's really, I think, the way you want to differentiate yourself in week 11. Now, let's get into this running back position group because this is really where, and by the way, guys who are watching this, remember to smash that like button, subscribe, all those good things. It really helps the algorithm. You guys like the show. Everybody watch it every week. We have a lot of fun. We want to keep bringing it to you. I got rid of the sponsor for this week so we can just get right into it. But part of doing that is hitting that like button so we can keep it going. And if you're not signed up at DFS Army, you want to be. You want to hang with this crew. You want to get every single sport covered and go to the place where, not a place where it's filled exclusively with staffers that win, but a place where members actually win. And that's the big difference with DFS Army. And by the way, these three guys that are here with me are perfect examples because you guys didn't come in as big hitters. everybody here in this panel was a subscriber now for a long time, but came in as a subscriber, turned into a winner, right? Bob's taking down tournaments as a subscriber. I said, bro, you're killing it. We got to bring up on the staff. BobbyWow taking down Millie Makers time and time again. I'm like, you got to come and be on the staff with me, man. You're awesome. Same thing with Burns. Brilliant. Taking down top 10 finishes constantly. King of the Beach, all that stuff. You got to come on the staff with us. That's how we do it. We build from within. Building from within. Building winners. So get signed up at DFS Army, become part of this incredible community. So anyway, running back position, guys. Running back position. It's pretty gross this week. Again, starts at the top with Saquon Barkley, and I already discussed. I'm just gonna. I mean, you can see it in the numbers here. Like he's 9K. Everybody, I want you to practice this in your head when you're making lineups. You go 4x the salary. What do I need? 9, 18, 27. 36 fantasy points to keep you on track for 200, but I actually want 250, not 200 to win a Millie Maker. So I need 45, not 36. Here's the problem. This guy hasn't even sniffed anywhere near 45. One game of 36 fantasy points week 1. And I think that is the ceiling for him. In most matchups, he's got to get 36 plus here. I think he could do it, but it's going to be hard for him to pass that number. So if you can afford it, fine. I'm down with Saquon. I do like the matchup, but Nick Chubb is a guy that no, not at this price. 32 minimum. When is he doing that? Never. He does not get you there. Once this season. That's a no for me. So these guys should be hitting that ceiling once every 4 games. Both we've seen with Barkley and with Chubb, it's 1 out of 10, and that is not acceptable. Or, you got a 10% hit rate. It's not very good. Dalvin Cook, tough matchup. Jonathan Taylor, tough matchup, but, at least he's priced well. Where are you guys going at the high end? Let me go around the room here, starting with Josiah.
Come back to me. I was already thinking low.
Okay, so Burns, up top here, I mean, big reasons to kind of avoid almost all of this crew in terms of their upside, the matchup itself. No one stands out as like, oh, I got to play it. Jonathan Taylor, 7,800, maybe?
Yeah, that's where I'm going. Jonathan Taylor this week against Philly. The way you beat Philly is in the run game. Yeah, I know McLaurin had a really good game against them on Monday night, but, really the only top wide receiver that Indianapolis has is Michael Pittman. I think it's another Jonathan Taylor week this week. I was all over him last week. I had in and around 50% of him last week. So, I just like him a lot this week at the higher level.
Jonathan Taylor, man. If you had 50% of him last week, that is pretty spectacular. He had a pretty good game. I think a big part of that was when Matt Ryan was announced as the starter, and it just helped the entire outlook of that team. And I wish I had known it, period, because I was like doing something on Sunday and I didn't see that announcement and totally missed it.
I ended up with 50% of them because as soon as I heard that announced, I took all of my Josh Jacobs ownership and dumped it to Jonathan Taylor.
Can I tell you, I had a nuts level lineup with Josh Jacobs in it. And I was looking at the swap as well. I did not see the Matt Ryan news. And I was just like, I can still swap over to Jonathan Taylor, or should I just leave? Now, it wasn't a massive difference in score. But for me, I mean, I finished in 6th. Probably would have gotten me to 4th. Like, it would have squeezed me up another place or two with that particular lineup. And it was an expensive lineup. And I was kicking as soon as I saw the lock. And then I was like, what's this? Because I turn off Discord a lot of the times for the game. I shut it because everybody's ahead of my streams and I don't like knowing what's going on. So I'm like watching a little bit delayed. So I'm trying not to get spoilers. And I missed the news. I totally missed it. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I got it from Underdog. It came across the ticker on Underdog, and I was like,
Underdog's great. They're not a competition, but it was definitely announced Did we announce in DFS Army? Yeah. Uppers Lad put the announcement out as well. I just didn't see it. It's on me. That's on me. It's my fault. BobbyWow, how are you thinking about? How are you looking for the upper echelon running back position this week?
I think Taylor for sure is probably the top guy. I do have some interest in Alvin Kamara. So I think Kamara and Mixon will be in that mix as well for me. But can't get to Chubb, not as much of a Dalvin Cook fan either. And Josh Jacobs is a heck no for me. So I think those three guys are the guys I'll be exposed to above 7K.
By the way, I like that Taco's talking about 1% owned Dalvin Cook and here, but I mean it's a tough spot for Cook.
If he's going to be 1%, I would.
I'm kind of like, Cook, but if he's going to be that low owned, I kind of want to play a little Dalvin Cook too.
I don't think we have Dalvin Cook. We have him set for 12. Yeah. Now 1%, that would stand out.
He's surmising without looking at the ownership. But no, I do think that forget what it's set for now. Like I said, these numbers change massively between today and tomorrow and Sunday. And I do think Dalvin will be fairly low owned. Especially because I think more and more people are going to notice some of these cheaper running backs, which is where I want to get to here in a minute. But for me, yeah, I agree with you guys. I actually looked for a minute at making Kamara into an all formats play. And then I thought a little bit more about it. And then I was like, hell no. So I had the weirdest cycle of thoughts on that Rams game, which started with, the Rams aren't going to be able to move the football. Like they are going to have some trouble. They went beyond losing their best player. They lost their whole offense when Cooper Kupp got hurt. They got nothing else. So I started thinking about that game and I was like, Saints are probably going to dominate them defensively. And that might lead to extra opportunities, extra scoring chances, and all extras for Kamara. And I do think that's within the cards, within the realm. But then I thought, you know what? Rams defense is pretty good and Saints offense is pretty bad. And what if both teams just dominate each other defensively? Then, my full thought process about how the Rams can't move the football was true, but I still lose because them doing that didn't lead to a big game from Alvin Kamara. So can't trust him. Wanted to, but can't. I do like that. I think Dalton is still going to be at the helm. And I think actually Red Dalton, don't listen to the hype. I think it's going to be Dalton for a while, quarterbacking the Saints here. I don't know why, but there's issues with Winston. He might still be hurt. I'm hearing rumors that, he's kind of still banged up. And so they're just like not bothering with it. So a little risky there. I do love the Joe Mixon call, though. Joe Mixon is probably my favorite of this upper echelon tier. And the reason primarily being just the volume is massive for Joe Mixon week in and week out. 22 carries, 4 targets, 5 targets, 4 receptions last week. If the Bengals are winning, and the problem is I don't think like I said, I kind of think they're going to lose this one, but that's more my contrarian play. They are favored to win. And when the Bengals are winning and winning easily, I think Joe Mixon has that chance of having another pretty nice game. It does feel a little chasey though. Feels a little chasey after Mixon's big monster game the last time we saw him with that 58. By the way,
so much fun to watch that one. What I will say, I think for me, I'm on Jonathan Taylor too. I know the Eagles, they lost a defensive tackle. They brought in 2 more defensive tackles from free agency. So interesting situation there. I was on Jonathan Taylor really early last week. Once they brought Jeff Saturday in, I was on board. I was like, let's do this. And I'm going to stay on board. The Colts, they're a bottom tier defense against the running game, so I'm totally fine attacking it. So yeah, that's my spot. I'm also interested in Miles Sanders a little bit too. I think that's why I was talking about the Colts. Miles Sanders, he's not getting a ton of usage. He's not getting the ball as often as I would like, but I'm willing to take some shots on him there.
Yeah, I will. I'm not going there. He's too expensive.
Yeah,
too much. I can't afford it. I'm not paying $7K for Miles Sanders. This player has literally not shown any propensity to put up 28 fantasy points in a game. I'm not going there. I'm not comfortable with that at all. I like Miles Sanders, but I like him priced correctly at 5,500 and 5,200. not at this level, but I feel you. But you did get to a zone here where I do think we could find some plays. So I think I'm gonna be living, and part of, I like a couple of those upper echelon plays, but I think I'm living in the 6,500 and below zone this week.
Yes.
And so here's my take. Really, the overall and my overarching on the running back position is, number one, I'm only playing 2. I'm only playing 2 on DraftKings, not 3. I'm zeroing out the third one, only running 2 of these guys. I don't like the choices one bit. So the fewer of them I need to have cycling through, the better. There are plenty more wide receivers that could pop for numbers in the flex. So that's my first thing. Secondly, I'm gonna shit on a couple of these guys right now, and that's gonna come back to bite me. That always does. And people are gonna DM me.
Live with it.
Not you guys, other people. After I'm wrong, they're gonna DM me. They say, you said not to play Cordero Patterson, and he scored 3 touchdowns on 9 carries. And I'm going to go, well, I didn't know he was going to score the 3 touchdowns, bro, but I had a feeling he would only get the 9 carries.
Yeah.
So, that happened, right? Like, what are you going to do? So, am I really going to play Cordero Patterson at 6,200, who is essentially a yardage and touchdown back with no pass catching upside almost whatsoever?
No.
Right? And you're like, wait, he's a wide receiver. Yeah, they don't throw the ball. Okay? They don't throw it to anybody in Atlanta.
He's in a three-way.
Yeah, and it's not okay when you're in a 3-way.
No.
Oh God. Jesus.
Especially when they don't look that good.
That's
especially
when it's 3 dudes.
Come on.
It's not okay.
I do understand the upside though. Like, if they do decide to throw the ball, if they're down, then I guess it makes sense.
They're not throwing it to him. They don't throw the ball. And if they do, it's not going to Patterson. So basically, we're getting 12 carries for 62 to 6,500. That is not acceptable, right? I don't want it. I would never play any running back. If you told me, and this is what it is, we love Cordero because he's won us tournaments in the past. We're all like, yeah, dude, fucking last year, this dude won me tournaments, had a couple good games this year. They threw to him last year. It was a different quarterback. Now they don't throw to him. So if I told you, basically, who is, it's like, hey, I'm going to get you 12 carries on a guy. It's basically Frank Gore. Like, I'm going to get you 12 carries.
Oh my gosh.
That's not Frank Gore, but no reception work. And the only way he gets you there is with touchdowns. There is almost no chance that this guy can get 24 fantasy points, which is what he needs to keep you on track. That is by far his ceiling. He has to score 2, maybe 3 touchdowns to get there. You don't need it. That's not a play.
You're selling on the revenge narrative?
Forget revenge. Revenge for what? This guy's been on every team in the NFL. There's no team that hasn't had Cordero Patterson for a year or 2. He gets around like nobody's business. All right. Wasn't he a Bear at one point? Like, this guy was on every team. Yeah, he's on the Bears. He was on a lot of teams. Was he only on 2 teams? I feel like there was more than 2.
Hey, but they didn't know how to utilize him the right
Vikings,
way.
The Bears.
Yeah, listen, what revenge? The only thing that he should be is happy that Atlanta finally figured out that he was a running back. It's not good. I'm not on it, right? Swift. Can we trust Swift at this point when we have no idea? They don't even throw a Q tag on him. He's just, quote, secretly hurt. I don't like that one bit. What does that
I
even
will
mean?
have some Swift. I will have some DeAndre Swift.
The Swift is the ultimate tournament play, right?
Yes.
Hold on. Oh, I got something for you. Swift.
Hopium.
Oh, so good. Oh, felt good to click on Swift. I got so much hopium. And then he gets 7 touches. And you're like, wait, it didn't say he was hurt. Why are they not giving him the ball? It's a hopium play.
We're talking about a guy actually at 1% projected ownership who can get you 14 points on a single play.
I think it's a good, perfectly acceptable GPP upside play. It's perfectly acceptable. But we all have to know that there's no word from the team that said we're going to up his work again this week.
No.
There's no information that said, oh, we know what happened. He had a shoulder, but it's fine now. We don't know.
And part of the reason why, Geek, is because look who's the exact same price right below him, right? David Montgomery.
The chalk. Is he the chalk? Man, I thought I was being cute early in the week by getting excited about Montgomery, and now he became the chalk. But for good
Hate when that
reason.
happens.
I think he's good chalk.
On paper, he's great chalk.
Best matchup on the board. Atlanta, one of the worst teams. I'm going to show you something here. 9 carries. Ugh, gross. 1 target. Ugh, gross. Only 5 fantasy points.
Yeah.
But,
Game logs, you won't. Those won't look like fun.
Well, wait. No, because we can combine it with Khalil Herbert, right? These two were splitting. So if I add in the extra 10 carries,
Still
to 57
really gross.
yards. Well, no, now at least we got the bonus.
Sure.
13. So now we're at 13 or 14. Throw a touchdown in the mix, and we're at 21-22, and that's all you need to do. So better matchup. Yeah, I'm playing Montgomery this week. I was hoping no one was going to be on this play. It's kind of annoying. I do my sheet throughout the course of the week. I threw Montgomery on there on like Tuesday night, and I was all excited about it. I'm like, you know what? And I'm doing the math. I'm like, wow, man, Khalil Herbert, he's doing this. And by the way, last week looks bad. Let me show you something else actually on screen here so you understand. Yeah, we're all just looking at last, and this was I was hoping what the field would look at. Oh, last week not that good, but if you look at the previous week, week 9 and week 8 and week 7,
every week,
this is 15, 15, 15, 15. And if you look at Khalil Herbert, those same weeks he was also getting 15 touches. So now instead of thinking like, oh, we got 19 touches upside like what happened last week in that game, it's really 30 touch upside for Montgomery. Montgomery has done this before in his career. I don't know if it was last season or 2 years ago. I can't remember at this point. But where he just had a monster run at the end of the year, he helped you win your fantasy championship. What year was that? Was this last year or 2 years ago?
Hey, sorry, I'm totally interrupting, but quick question. What are y'all's thoughts on the backup on the Bears? Like Ebner, is there a chance he actually gets some touches here or no?
That's a wild question.
Ebner will get some touches for sure. They won't all go to Montgomery. But again, I think, unless he gets hurt, Monty's the guy to roster. I personally do not like playing him and Fields together, though. I know we've mentioned being okay with that. I really don't like that this week. So I think if you're going to play Monty, I wouldn't be playing Fields in those lineups.
I'm okay with it.
You disagree? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with it because Montgomery for me is a value play. So Montgomery can have a good game and Fields can have a good game together.
Oh, sure.
And just because because there are so few running backs to choose from, like I said, we're going to go through this. We're going to keep going, but we've already gotten our way down to Fields and we kind of don't like anybody. So like, wait a minute, understand what the position group, this is the elephant in the room position group. We've gotten down to Fields and we kind of didn't like anybody before it. It's not like, oh yeah, I'm clicking on Jacobs I'm clicking on Mixon. No, none of this feels very good. So that's the concern for me. It's like, if I force no Montgomery and I'm going to be 35% exposed, maybe more to Field, at least 30% to Fields in my tournament lineups. Well, I mean, those are a lot of lineups that don't have one. We might only see 2 or 3 running backs this week hit value. That's my
concern. I'm not saying exclude him. I'm just saying, and here's, I guess I don't want to open a new can of worms, but my question back to you guys is, because the running back position, because the field is so weak, do we really need Saquon Barkley to hit 40 points?
No.
Or would he be okay hitting 25?
Just raw points.
That to me is what I'm looking at. Because in that case, I want a ton of Saquon Barkley. I want a ton of Jonathan Taylor, because maybe we don't need them to hit 40 points this week. If it's closer to 25, that changes the entire perspective for me.
All of that depends on if we can identify a couple of these guys in this 6,500 and below range that could get you 25 also. And that's really what it comes down. What if Montgomery gets 21?
One, potentially. I said now we've identified one and it's a maybe.
Well, no, I've got some others though. Listen, I came prepared. I got a couple others that have a shot. So some other names worth mentioning here. I think Dameon Pierce is worth mentioning. Obviously, he was pretty bad chalk last week, and he was in the chalk. We all said it. I mean, it was very obvious. We talked about it on this show. We were going to fade Dameon Pierce. It was the correct move. By the way, we could get some props for that shit. Like, if you watched the show last week, we all faded Dameon Pierce. You know, it's a ballsy move when you have a guy listed at 30% ownership that we were going to fade and come out and outright tell you guys, listen, do not play this guy in tournaments. He's probably does not have the upside to deliver. And what happened? He puts up a 13 and destroyed 50% or 40% of lineups in a lot of tournaments that I was in. I was in the $150 tournament. This guy was like 45, 50% owned. I was like, why am I doing so well in this tournament today? Like, some of my scores weren't even that great. Like, I was like cashing with 160s. I'm like, why am I doing so well? Oh, everybody played Pierce because they're all donkeys.
And what they do, they give a little bit of a price hike.
And then they hiked him. Now, the matchup is much better, but I actually don't mind Pierce this week based on the competition. Like, he's in a much better spot. People just, like I said, the donkeys only looked at DVOA on the Giants and didn't realize they were good against running backs because they don't have that, right? They don't have it. So that's fine. But I don't mind Pierce a little bit, but moving on down, and this is where we get into the fun zone.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the fun zone over here. Under 6K. And by the way, I like your Swift call. I do. I like it, but it's super risky. And we know the downside is like a 4, right? We don't know. Burns in the fun zone. How about D'Onta Foreman? No one likes Foreman. Literally nobody. I don't know how many times I have to play and talk about this guy before. People keep talking about Chuba Hubbard. Enough with Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard sucks. Josiah, you're a Panthers guy.
Yeah, we both said it when CMC left. We were like, Foreman. Don't care about Hubbard, just Foreman. Even though this week I'm not getting a ton of Foreman.
I'm going to play some Foreman. You know what?
I'll have some. Like, he'll be in the pool, but I'm not going to have a lot.
Baker Mayfield back at the helm. Listen, Baker Mayfield is poison to all fantasy production. Don't get me wrong. But he can't be worse than PJ Walker. And Foreman, 31 carries last week.
Crazy. Love
a lot of volume.
Fantastic.
Bobby,
but no, I think 31. We're just gonna suck. We're just gonna suck, and we're not going to make any movement at all. That's what's gonna happen. We're going to do absolutely nothing besides get destroyed and let Lamar Jackson do a ton. That'll be fun.
Washington running back. We'll get to those guys, of course. We are. I mean, hell yeah. Everybody's talking about the Washington running backs. It's Gibson, and there's 2 of them. But D'Onta Foreman, I just want to mention him because I've mentioned him most of these weeks, and everybody kind of like not super excited. All he did was get us a 35, a 22, and a 20 for cheap.
Yep.
In 3 out of these 4 games. So
I was on board for those games, but this matchup is tougher.
It is a tougher matchup, but still, you know what? Tampa was
not crazy tough.
Tampa wasn't the easiest to match. Obviously, that was a crazy ass game, but and you're right. Those other matchups were much easier. But I just think
Foreman was a value back then too, but he still performed well. So I get what you're saying.
Look at the 2 teams.
Kevin is saying that Baker does very well for opposing defenses.
Look at the teams from his last 2 blowups, guys. Atlanta and Atlanta.
Yeah, well, what does Atlanta and Atlanta have in common? They can't stop the runs.
Montgomery, very true.
Yeah.
Slowed up on Montgomery, guys. It's
Montgomery week,
but
maybe
he's core play for me. I already marked him as core
play. Wow.
Yeah. So again, I did not know he would become chalk, and that makes me upset. But nonetheless, I don't care because I marked that shit down on Tuesday, and now it's Friday, and everybody's following me. That's how I see it.
That's exactly how it is.
No, it's not what happened, but I like to think of it that way. All right, so let's get into some more of these running backs. Any interest in Singletary, guys? And if anybody does, just like give me a thumbs up and you tell me why. No, we got nothing. No one wanted to go on a limb.
Someone would.
No one wanted to go on a limb for that one. Okay. We'll just moving on. All righty.
Hey, well, I mean, there's an argument to be made for Singletary. I mean, I played Josh Allen last week, and Singletary kind of devalued my value on Josh Allen. So, similar story. If Devin Singletary can actually do more this week,
I'm going to give you. You know what? I will throw my thumbs up on this one thing. Cleveland is horrible against running backs, allowing almost 9 points per game above mean expectation. You know who's similar to that? Houston. They are the 2nd worst in the league. No one knows it. No one's even aware. Like, this is not – everybody knows target running backs against Houston, right? No, it's target running backs against Cleveland. They stink. They can't stop the run. So for that – but I think Josh Allen's going to take those runs.
Yeah, it's hard.
the hard part about playing Singletary is last week he had the ultimate matchup of a lifetime. And yeah, he scored 2 touchdowns, but again, only got a 16 fantasy points. So I like him better on FanDuel. The pricing is a little bit more palatable there. And I just because he's sub 6K, I will have him in my player mix, but I don't love the fact that, you're starting to see more and more of that Jimmy Cook on the field for Buffalo in those very attractive passing situations. So not the best, but I'll put my thumbs up since none of you guys wanted to take that hit. I'll take it. I'll absorb the hate.
He deserves a thumbs up from someone. So thank you, Geek.
Yeah,
I do feel like it's kind of the case for a lot of these guys where you could
Yeah.
make an argument because the field is so weak.
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm saying. The field is so weak that like a 17, 18 from Singletary also has potential. Now, he's not super likely to get that, but he's up against the worst run defense this side of Houston. And so it's worth consideration. Now, another team that's up against the worst rush defense this side of Houston is actually Washington going up against Houston.
Yeah.
And that's where we've got J.D. McKissick officially out for this one. So we are back on the Gibson and Brian Robinson double tap bandwagon. Now, BobbyWow on the Showdown Breakdown last week, we were like, you know what? You could actually play Gibson and Brian Robinson together.
Yep.
And up until that defensive touchdown on the last play of the game, that was the nuts.
We actually talked about betting both to score a touchdown.
Yes. That was the nuts play. And Kyle's on another one that I love. So let me get
That's
to that
the one I was going to do.
Yeah, great. And Unchained. Love the Dreezy.
Oh, I was going there.
Yeah. So let's focus Washington. But I want to. So my question on the Washington guys is: do we have a preference? I'm leaning Robinson a little bit, but I don't know why. You too?
I think I'm leaning.
I'm leaning Robinson. He gets more touches. That's the pure reason.
He got the 26. He got the 26. By the way, Drake is in. I don't want to say it. I'm leaning Robinson. BobbyWow, what about you?
Yeah, I think for me, I kind of like Gibson on DraftKings more, and I like Robinson on FanDuel a little bit more.
That's also really fair. Gibson is much more likely to get targets compared to Robinson.
He's the only one that got targets last week.
Yeah, they don't throw to Robinson. Robinson is going to be on the goal line. They're scoring. You could probably play both. Robinson just a smidge cheaper. They both scored just about the same amount of fantasy points last week. So I think you could go either way here. We lean Robinson just
a little bit. Yeah, I'll have exposure to both, and neither one of them are looking super popular right now either. So that's why I'm fine with it. If one of them start to get super popular, I might start to make a little bit more of a tougher stand, but TBD.
I love it.
Yeah, and you're getting sort of like a lot of different opinions, but let's jump over to Kenyon Drake, because I really like this play. He actually made my first look lineup as well. Gus Edwards being out would certainly be helpful here. I like that Edwards still got that Q tag on him though, because just having the Q tag itself kind of tells me that he probably won't get 20 carries or anything. But I think Kenyon Drake, in order to get us there, he does need 20 plus touches. But he's looked good in that offense. He's looked really good. Let me bring him up on screen here. And no one plays him in DFS for some odd reason. He never projects well. But 24 carries, 2 receptions, 4 targets the week before. Saints were a pretty good run defense, or supposedly. Yeah, I kind of like Kenyon Drake here a little bit as another one. Normally, we wouldn't be playing guys like this, but in a weird slate where no running back, it's quite possible that none of them really do well. I think Kenyon Drake's got to be in the mix, and he's just looked good. Like he passes the eye test for me.
And I've been saying play running backs against the Panthers forever now.
You absolutely haven't. It by the way, that does bear out as well on the chart. Running backs, they're almost -4, so they are pretty bad against running backs. There was one more player here that I just saw brought up. I can't remember.
I think it was Henderson.
Yeah. Oh, so I just want to address Dave and Darrell, and that is a tough one. But you would think that the Rams have to do something different.
You would think.
One of the Rams, They want to run the football. They just haven't been able to.
They just can't.
Yeah.
If I'm going
they
to throw
just-
a dart in that game, I think it's Kyron Williams is
Yeah,
who I
and
would throw
and
my dart on.
and there's Kyron Williams. And what about, all of a sudden Cam Akers is still on that team? Like,
I don't know how.
He's still there. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it could be Kyron. So I just think it's that one's really thin. I don't know. I ain't getting to that, is what I'm saying. I'm not getting that way. What about Melvin Gordon? Bobby, did I hear you mention something about Melvin Gordon?
I think Bob was mentioning, Josiah was mentioning that he's on Josh's sheet. DFS.
He is. He's
Okay.
on the 10 for 10.
Nice.
I saw it earlier.
Man.
I was just like, guys, I was like, I'm not a part of this. Don't put my name.
Yeah,
around
Josiah,
that.
you want to
You
put
put
your
that
name
evil
on
on
that
me,
one?
Ricky.
Stop.
You want to be associated with that play?
I'm definitely getting a DM about this now. Thanks, guys. Thanks.
I'm not going there, but others can if they want.
Yeah, I'm not going there. And I'm not going here either. Naeem Hines, bro. No.
Jeez.
No, I'm not going. Naeem Hines, they've been trying to make him a thing for like 7 years now.
Yeah.
No, he's not a thing. I'm just not ever down with Naeem Hines.
I've been wanting him to be great for so long. It's just sad. It's just sad at this point.
I've never played him in DFS in his whole career.
Really?
Never.
Never?
Come on,
Not
that's
one.
ridiculous.
Not-
That is silly.
He was
Not
not.
once.
You're so good.
It's
So he had
silly.
a time there where he was crushing it.
No, there wasn't a period where he was crushing it. These are all false memories. These are all false memories. Even when Taylor or Marlon Mack got hurt, and this is what destroyed Hines for me.
Stop.
Even when Marlon Mack would get hurt and Hines would be the only guy left, they would find some other dude that you didn't know, you had never heard of, to get all of the carries, and Hines would remain the
Yeah, I
scat
remember
back.
that.
Like they
That
would like
freaking
they'd
sucked.
be like
It was
Williams
like
would be
Hines
like-
week, and then it was
It'd
not
be like
Hines week.
Gervonta Williams would come out. Who the fuck is that? I don't know who this is. And he was the number one back. And I thought it'd be Hines. No, it's not
Yeah.
Hines. No, it's Jarmonte Williams. It's another Jay Williams guy. Like Jonathan Williams is on this. Who the fuck is Jonathan Williams? I don't know, heard of him, but he was the starter. Look at Hines. He never got the starting role. He's too small. He's too small. They
Poor
don't
guy.
give him carries. It takes a miracle for Naeem Hines. He's had a couple good games in his career, but it's those 2 or 3 good games. You guys are remembering them and thinking it happened more often than just a couple times. No, if you never played Hines in your entire DFS career, it's a plus EV. Don't ever play him. Him and Derek Carr
God.
never played him.
I might have another one that's down there in that range against Buffalo. If you don't want to go with Chubb, I would go with Kareem Hunt at 5.1K.
Mhm.
What's he got to get you? He's got to get you 15. And the way these running backs are looking this week, he's been known to pop off.
He's got to get me 20, bro.
Well, he can get you 20 to win, the Millie Maker. But if you want to stay in range on single entries, he could get you there. He's been known to pop off.
It could happen. It could happen. GPP only situation. For
That's
sure.
what we're talking about, though. I mean, like,
but very
these are the
much
kind of plays.
Mhm.
And he's 5.1K. It's like,
How about if Chubb gets hurt? I mean, like weird shit happens in NFL games, like GPP craziness. Chubb gets hurt, but I just don't love that matchup. In general, I don't like playing anybody against the Bills. I think the Bills roll. By the way, I don't even think it's like. I think 7 is too little. -7. Give me minus
Honestly?
11.
Minus
Minus
take the
12.
alt minus 14.
I might like do an alt. I know I
Juice.
like winning my bets, BobbyWow. I don't do too much of the alts. I
Oh,
much
wow, what
more
a
value
surprise.
the W than I
He
do
likes winning his bets.
Yeah, I do. I like winning them. I have a hard time, plowing on the extra juice to my bets.
You're not a
but-
juicy juice guy.
Nah. No, I don't do it very often unless like I'm being very specifically direct. I just like winning the bet, but I do think that they will roll on these. Angry
Agreed.
Josh against the worst run defense in the league is just not a good scene at all. He's going to be tearing it up. So let's move on because there's nothing. If we're already talking about Hunt,
wait. We didn't talk about what could go wrong with Josh Allen and the Bills. Like that's one thing we didn't talk about. I don't know if we want to, but I mean, I think there is some concern. They haven't practiced a lot this week. Josh Allen's still dealing with the elbow thing where he is not feeling 100% yet. So there is some merit to fading Josh Allen this week in the Bills. I like him a lot, but it's definitely worth considering if you want to take that contrarian edge.
I have no problem with that at all. And
Completely
but
agree.
if that's happening, then Devin Singletary's probably doing a little bit better as
Mhm.
well. But I don't know. I don't think I didn't notice too much of an issue with the elbow really last week.
Mm-mm. But no, just worth mentioning, like not practicing things of that sort.
Here's an interesting one. Low owned Pollard. I do think Zeke will get a light workload. And you talk about like a crazy tournament play, a little bit crazy, because a lot of the issue for me with Pollard is just he's kind of priced like a starter right now. You're not getting the traditional Pollard savings. But
yeah, the other thing for me with the Cowboys running backs this week is that the Vikings have been pretty good against running backs this year. It's the pass where you've been wanting to attack them. So that's ultimately what kind of led me against Pollard and Zeke this week.
That's fair. That's fair. Let's talk wide receiver a little bit, and we'll just get into the position group. We've talked about a lot of wide receivers, a lot of quarterbacks, and potential stacks. But let's go round table here, and we'll start into the stud zone, and we'll go kind of 9 to 7K here, and I'll start around the top and kind of give me a couple guys you like here in this spot. I'll tell you right off the bat for me that I'm cool. I love CeeDee Lamb. I think it's like just such a great spot. I really like Justin Jefferson as well, but it's not really feasible to pay up for him. But if I could, I'd love it. Devontae Adams, not so much. And of course, Diggs and A.J. Brown are really just kind of stacked with their quarterback plays rather than straight up. How do you guys see it going down? Or if it's exactly the same, then just say like, same shit, and then we can move on to another
same
area.
for me.
Yeah. Burns?
Same. I'm saying with you, but I have to add in Amon-Ra into the mix. I think Amon-Ra is going to be fine this week as a play, and I don't mind T. Higgins stacked with Burrow.
Yep,
Yeah,
agreed.
Higgy Smalls is definitely really interesting with that horrible Pittsburgh pass defense. I've not played much of T. Higgins sort of since he's been priced up in the 7K range, just because I haven't noticed where they throw to him more frequently with Chase out, which is kind of weird. Like it seems like he gets about the same volume regardless, so it doesn't really necessarily justify like the no Chase price hike that he got. But this matchup, oh boy, this matchup is crazy good. How about? So let's get into the zone where we're going to have to live a little bit more. Because like I said, I'd love to play Jefferson, but CeeDee Lamb for me is a core play. Like I'm going to be all over CeeDee Lamb this week. I don't understand how he doesn't. He should really have a good game. So I want to load up on him. But getting down into the mid zone here, go from Olave here down to about the DJ Moore factor. And we're going to have to kind of hang in this zone. I'm not seeing anything popping off the screen at me that makes me love it, which again makes this week kind of weird. But I'll start with you, BobbyWow. Like, you know, in this zone, the middling zone where we mostly have to live in a week like this without much value, especially at the running back position. Where are you looking at here? Obviously, we all like Davis with Allen as more of a stack play. Any standalone plays that you're seeing on screen right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be fading 8K and above, so this will be where I'm living. I'll go back to Cortland Sutton. I like Cortland Sutton a lot. I think he's in a great spot. Should get a ton of volume. I think Michael Pittman is going to be overlooked. I understand the matchup isn't great. He is insanely cheap with Matt Ryan back and peppering him with targets. So I like Pittman a lot. And I think Scary Terry might be heating up a little bit. So all three of those guys, I'll be overweight on. They're really, really intriguing at those prices.
I don't mind that zone at all. I don't know about Pittman because I think you can get the same production out of Paris Campbell for cheaper. Paris Campbell's basically the same guy.
Wait, you're kidding, Geek, right? You're kidding.
No,
No,
I'm not. I drafted that dude.
Joke.
Paris Campbell came out of the draft as the number one wide receiver in his class.
He scored his first fantasy points of his career last week, I think.
Yeah,
what are
the
we
guy was always
talking
hurt.
about?
You're biased against players who are always hurt. And now I've discovered it. You're biased
Michael
against
Pittman
Christian Watson
is elite.
and
he's a great wide receiver.
and Paris Campbell because they're always hurt. They're always hurt, and you're holding it against them. It's not their fault.
He just likes all my Ohio State Buckeye boys.
I do like the Buckeyes.
Harris Campbell is the same player as Michael Pittman. That's the hottest take I have ever heard.
All right. I'll allow for that. Just as good.
Turd hat bet.
Just as good. Turd hat bet at the end of this week. Plus,
I do like Michael Pittman this week, similar
Taking over
to Bobby
Campbell.
Wow for his reasoning. There's two ways I'm kind of viewing this Colts team. I can see this week where they're dominating.
I got it.
Where the hell did you
I
guys
could
ever
see a
find
world
those?
where the Colts dominate, but I could also see where they don't. But whatever.
Where the hell did you guys find those?
They got them on Amazon, right?
Griffin turd. All right.
Man, you can find everything on Amazon. Shit.
Amazon had it. Yeah, Paris Campbell just as good. Great prospect. Just always hurt. Always
Just
hurt.
so casual with it, though. That was just a heck of a statement right there.
In fairness, I drafted him in the first round in Dynasty, and I'm waiting for this breakout for years. He's still on the bench, but guy's always hurt. Anyway, we went off the rail. We don't have time to go off the rail. We got to get into the business here. So I love the Sutton pick. No Jerry Jeudy. Great. Terry McLaurin, spectacular with Taylor Heineke under the helm. Like, he is the prime target by far, and I don't know that he has 30-point upside, but he's kind of hitting these 20s pretty regular here. There's a 20, there's a 20, there's a 20. So he's kind of averaging 20. It's kind of almost good enough. I don't think he's going to do more than that. I think Houston is a team you want to run against, but they're not a scary defense. Burns, you got anybody in the zone to take a look at?
Outside of who we already mentioned, I mean, if I'm stacking Hurts, I'm going with Devonta Smith in this.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm stacking Allen, I'm going with Gabe Davis.
Only stack guys. No Tyler Boyd. No one mentioned Olave.
Oh, I love Olave. I mean, he's another Ohio State boy. I love him. I love him week in and week out. I had a lot of them last week. He just didn't perform to the way we needed him. But he was in the matchup that was prime. So it wasn't a bad play. It was just he didn't get the opportunities, and
Andy Dalton sucking kills him, man.
Yeah, I think Olave got an unfortunate price hike, and that is the part that bothers me. Look, at his salary went from 6 to 7 without having done anything to deserve it, and that is troubling. He's really ceilinged out as a 6K player. Like, he's got one game this season where he actually paid off a 6K value. And then since then, he just hasn't done it. So I like Olave I love Olave as a player.
Well, they only gave him half of the targets that he got the week prior. I mean, if he would have got all 9 targets again, he might have had a great day.
Actually, if you do the math, he would have had 14 fantasy points, which is still not good enough. You know what I mean? Of course, I'm kidding, Burns. Of course, you're right. But like the flip side is he's shown us nothing to prove that he's a 7K salary value guy. I'm all about the value. I don't like overpaying for players, period. And I do think Olave is overpriced. I think Tyler Boyd is overpriced. Does not mean that these guys can't have a ceiling game and can't put up 30. They absolutely can, but they're overpriced relative to their mean expectations this week. These are guys that will not show up if you run the optimizer because they're not projecting well relative to the salary that they're priced at. Does not mean they can't produce, just means they're not priced well relative to their mean expectations for the week. So do with that information what you will. All right, let's go to the cheaper wide receiver zone here and kind of get into a little of this grouping. And I just want to go around the table with Allen Robinson here. So Allen Robinson's been ass all the season. Now there's no Cooper Kupp. Do we think now it's time to pile on board? And I am not skeptical. I'm genuinely curious because I don't know that there's a right answer here. Is this time to get on board with, is this it? Is this the time when Allen Robinson does his thing? Or no, we're going to see the same guy. If he doesn't catch a touchdown, there's no yak. What's going to happen here with Allen Robinson, guys?
I mean, for me, Cooper Kupp has been eating all the targets on that team for so long since Matthew Stafford has been the starting quarterback that I don't know what else can happen outside of Allen Robinson being the next guy that he targets. So, I mean, that's my mindset behind playing Allen Robinson is just that he should, and logically, he should see an increase in targets.
They also priced him up based on nothing.
Yeah, he's almost at the point where I can't play him right now. 5,600.
Like, isn't that his ceiling? Like, is he not priced for they're not giving you a bargain. Like, he's got no evidence that he can.
17.3 was his highest week this year.
That's with a touchdown. I'm just saying, like,
And we've seen the situation before where like a stud receiver goes down and then the guy behind him becomes super chalky and he fails. And I think the field's starting to get pretty sharp and they're not copying that trend. And I think that makes a ton of sense, but I still want exposure to Allen Robinson as long as he's not too chalky.
I think the other question is, do we think Cooper Kupp being out is going to cure the Matthew Stafford woes?
No,
I certainly
no.
don't.
Why
think
would it make
so.
him get better? Why? Cooper Kupp is awesome. That's what I'm saying. And Allen Robinson couldn't do anything when Cooper Kupp was there as a distraction. Why now, if he's the prime target, would it get better? I don't think that is what's going to happen. I think it's not going to get better. I think it's going to be more of the same. I think you'll get the same 12 fantasy points out of Allen Robinson that you've been getting most weeks and a lot of these weeks. And I don't think this guy deserves a 5,600 salary.
To Josiah's point, if he's going to be 2% projected ownership, he's worth 10%. He's worth 10% to me just because he is the number one.
That's exactly what I have on him, BobbyWow, 10%.
Yeah. And then you've got, hey, Marley knows what's up. Paris outscores A-Rob. Hell yeah. Fucking A.
Haven't you heard, Marley? Paris is Justin Jefferson. They're the same player.
I'm not saying Paris and Justin Jefferson. I'm saying Michael Pittman has not proven to me that he's a stud. I don't have any absolute proof of that. But I listen, Paris Campbell had more draft capital than Michael Pittman. More draft capital. Bold call. Yeah. I'm here with the bold call. My fantasy football podcast is called the bold call. It's not
I
called
love it. Let's go, baby. Yes.
It's not called the no balls call. It's
Amen.
called the bold call.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see him end up being pretty chalky. I've seen him everywhere, and I think he's a smart. I think it makes sense.
Yeah, Skoranek, Van Jefferson. Skoranek last week got the WR2 treatment, 90% of the snaps. Jefferson just kind of being worked in, but I think Van Jefferson is more talented than Benny Sko. So I kind of think Van Jefferson, if I had to kind of choose between that group, although again, Van Jefferson got the inexplicable price hike as well. I wish they left him. We should have gotten one more week in the 3s before they raised him up to the 4K zone. That's just my opinion. They should have given us almost like a little bit of a free square here with Van Jefferson, and they did not. BobbyWow, you like Darnell Mooney?
Way too cheap. He's way too cheap.
32nd ranked. The Falcons are so bad against the pass. I agree with you. I think, just play him. I don't think so. The only thing I'm going to say about that play is there's literally no reason to play Mooney on a non-Fields lineup. Don't do that, right?
Oh, I disagree.
Can I give you my reasoning?
Please.
Hold on. Let me get back to large here. Here's my thought. If I'm playing 35% of my lineups with Justin Fields anyway, this is my thing, then a lot of them are going to be stacked with Mooney. So if Mooney fails, let it be destroying those Fields lineups. Why would I want him to destroy my Josh Allen lineups? If he's going off, I think it's his price. But if he's going off, Fields is the nuts. There's no scenario that I can foresee where Darnell Mooney puts up 25 fantasy points and Fields doesn't get you at least 35.
At 25 fantasy points for Mooney, I don't think he needs that many to take down a tournament, does he? 5,400?
Yeah.
17. He was in the winning million maker lineup with 17.
I am not here to count on mistakes. You've got to get 4 to 5x out of these guys to be in the nuts lineup. It will happen once in a while that you don't. Listen, Scotty Newman won the early slate with both.
I'm so glad he said it before I did.
What did I say?
No, look at Kyle's post. Just look at Kyle's post.
Oh boy, this is a family show, Josiah. Oh shit.
Those are candles. Candles.
Wait, Marley must have been watching the game plan when I said this is a family show. And one of the funnier moments, John never says anything even mildly outrageous. And John Statsational busted out with something so outrageous that I was like, whoa, take it easy. Like he actually
I need to go back and watch that.
If you guys missed the game plan this week, you got to watch it. There was a couple of moments and and there was oh my God, take it. I literally had to be like he even shocked me.
I was scared though. That's why I looked back. I was scared.
I'm like, listen, that I'm looking at like, dude, I like it. I like what you got going on back there. All right. So anyway,
oh my gosh.
First ripping on my Pennington jersey, and now you're bong in the background. What's next? BobbyWow's like golden records or nice. Wait, BobbyWow's Christmas tree, unacceptable. Not Thanksgiving yet, sir. It is not Thanksgiving yet.
Wait, is that tree always there?
No, it's as soon as Halloween passes the next day. By the way, I saw this great video, just real quick, this great video where it's like, it's like this people represent each month, and like November shows up and it's like December's like, fuck you. And it's Christmas time and it's like trying to play Christmas songs. Like, no, wait, no, it's November still. So it's really cute. I don't know what it was from, but it was funny. Anyway, probably TikTok.
It was good. You said it was good.
So anyway, let's get to this zone. So Darnell Mooney, I'm just saying for me, if he's going off for 20 plus, Fields is winning me the tournament. I don't allow him to destroy my other lineups. Contain the damage.
Yeah, if you're gonna have 35% Fields and Mooney's gonna be in all those lineups, then yes, I think
not all, but he'll be in.
Fair.
He'll be in like half of them, and so at that point, I don't really need him. If he's doing great, I've already gotten my leverage on that. That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
So some of the other names in this zone, George Pickens.
We didn't talk about DJ Moore.
Okay, yeah. How about DJ Moore? So, Josiah, talk to me.
Yeah, so this is a nice matchup against the Ravens. Their secondary has been trapped pretty much all year. The hard part is who's throwing to DJ Moore. If he sees targets, then this is a great spot for him. My concern with DJ and why I'm lower on him than probably the field is that I don't know if Baker can actually get him the ball. So I thought he was worth talking about, even though I'm not high on him. I don't know. Are you guys high on DJ at all?
I want to be, except Baker Mayfield is literal poison.
He's a temptress. DJ Moore's a temptress every week.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that I'd be more excited about him if PJ Walker was starting is just disgusting.
So bad.
What? So bad. How bad could Baker Mayfield actually be? Why is he kryptonite? The only player
hoping he's learned that, hey, getting the ball to DJ Moore, that worked. It looked good, but he hasn't. But I'm hoping he has.
We keep hoping, and it's the ultimate
extra hopium.
Oh, so good. Yeah. No.
God.
No. That's going to be Josiah after the show.
I'm not a pothead, guys. Calm down.
With the candle. All right. So moving on here. Burns, you mentioned Michael Gallup.
Yeah, I like him this week, and there's a couple in that 4,800 to 5.1, 5.3K. I love Garrett Wilson in a matchup that was already there 2 weeks ago. He blew up that week. I had him at 4.2K, where he was real low owned that. He gained more ownership as the week went on. I think he ended up around 12 to 15%, but he blew up in the same matchup. Is it going to happen again? Maybe not. But he's still pretty, he's got value to him at that price at 4.9K. Also like Gallup, like we said, and then I wouldn't even rule out Curtis Samuel either.
Yeah, I'm Desus loves not Gallup, but Wilson again this week. And man, this was a tough one for me because it's the same issue I always have with Wilson, is that his quarterback is Zach Wilson, and that guy is absolutely horrible. But they're only throwing to Garrett Wilson. That's the only, Corey Davis is out again. Moore is in some weird place with the team. I don't know what the hell's going on with him. And so it just comes down to Garrett Wilson and
Conklin.
And not really. Conklin, by the way, I went back and he is not getting a high target share at all. That was a crazy anomaly.
Just a fluke week.
Yeah, it was very fluky. He's not getting a high target share. I've looked at that play a million times going, how come I didn't, what did I miss here? And the end result was I missed nothing. That was just a really fluky situation.
I forgot one. Another one in that 5K range, Jacoby Myers, who blew up in this same matchup 2 weeks ago as well. Should avoid sauce coverage for the most part, and you do want to throw to the slot wide receiver when you're playing against the Jets. The Jets weirdly have an elite secondary. Oh my God, what? My beloved New York Jets?
They're good.
I can't believe both New York teams are good this year. It's crazy.
No, and Swoop, I'm not crazy. Look, Swoop, see, I'm just making up numbers. Hold up a second, Swoop. I'm not crazy, and I'm not making up numbers, so I'm going to show you something here. Because did he get some targets? Yes. Now, if I can get my computer to cooperate, I'm going to try to get the matchup sheet going. But you're going to see that Tyler Conklin is getting like a 10% target share in the Jets. His target share is not what you think. It's really low. I'm just hoping my computer doesn't freeze up too hard with trying to load up more windows here, because I'm going to pull this thing up for you guys. But his target share is not what you think. So it's in the 10% range. Let me swing this over here. Let me just swing this over here.
Are you trying to pull up the matchup sheet?
Yeah. If you could do it, because
you don't want to pull it up. It's like 17%.
Is it? Wait a minute. What the hell was I looking at then? The 1 week. Look at the season. No, look at last week.
Yeah, the season's 17%. Last week was 8%.
That's with Wilson. The season was with Flacco. I'm aware that he was getting targets earlier in the season. That's not what I meant. I meant with Wilson, because you're talking about games that were with Flacco. So if you look at
but 2 weeks ago, the New England game was with Wilson.
Yeah, no, that was the blow-up game, but other games. So anyway, whatever. You know what? Fuck all of you. Even 17% in this offense. You think that's good? It's like they throw it. That's not that good. But no, I meant with Wilson. Yes. If you look at his production with Flacco, he was smashing. I was like, holy shit, he is a high level. But since Wilson has been there, that was the only good game that he's had. And Wilson has had 4 or 5 games. So
Belichick, he usually targets the guys on defense that he knows are going to blow up, right? So 2 weeks ago, it was Wilson and Conklin, right? So what's going to happen in this game between the Jets and New England, what is Belichick going to do, right? Is he going to go after Wilson, and is he going to go after Conklin again? So those are things you got to keep in mind.
I think Belichick is going to know that the Jets need to run the football, and that's where they'll concentrate. He's not going to worry about Zach Wilson burning him with the arm. The fact that it happened once, Belichick's not fooled by that fluke.
I think Tyler Conklin just remembered that he's Tyler Conklin, so I think we're overcomplicating this.
Let's not go crazy. Like I said, Conklin, the reason I said it is because I put him on my sheet at first, and then I looked at it and I was like, fuck this guy, and I pulled him off my sheet. I was like, I'm not playing him. I'm just playing Dalton Schultz. Get him out of there.
Did Garrett Wilson 2 weeks ago operate out of the slot? I can't remember.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. All right, so but there are some others. So yeah, I agree on the Garrett Wilson play, but this is a zone we need to hang out in this week, and you're going to need multiple players in this 5K and under zone at wide receiver. Note that Wan'Dale Robinson got the Q tag, might not play this week, so that's where that Hodgins play might be interesting.
Yeah, Hodgins is just blown up off of my model, like. Really,
anybody who's 3K who's going to get 4 targets is pretty much going to blow up on your model because.
But I think he's going to get more than 4 targets. I think he might even push the 6 to 7 target range this week, and he could even At 3K, he could get you 12, 15 points easy.
He popping on the Dom station?
I don't know. I haven't looked yet.
Interesting. Getting back to the zone here, there's a couple other players. So I'll go over to you, Josiah.
Okay.
4K and 5K and below zone on wide receiver on DraftKings. By the way, I want to note here before we continue that one of the nice things about FanDuel is you don't have to hang out in this zone at all. This is already below pretty much anybody I'd ever play on FanDuel. FanDuel is a different format and allows you to not play really, really shitty players, hoping for some PPR points. Like it's just a different format of the game. You could pretty much avoid this whole area on FanDuel, but on DraftKings we need to probably 2 guys to complete a lineup. So any other names for you, Josiah, in this area?
I mentioned Claypool earlier. I know he hasn't really shown us a lot, but I do feel like they're going to try to make him a priority in this offense, and so he's someone I just want exposure to.
Yeah, I like that for again GPP stack with Fields upside more so than like as a standalone play. We've been all over Donovan, the People's wide receiver Jones. I don't know about this week, but I'm probably not going to do that this week. But he's been somebody been all over. But I think Van Jefferson, who I mentioned earlier, is somebody I like here in the zone. Hasn't really had the big game yet, but I don't really want to trust Allen Robinson to just be that guy. And Van Jefferson, talented player, thought of above Benny Skoranek. No cup. He's going to be the guy that's on the field. The Rams play 11 personnel the whole game. They got 3 wide receivers on the field most of the time. So I like that spot. And of course, BobbyWow. Paris Campbell.
I don't hate Campbell. I just, for you to say he's the same player as Michael Pittman, it was alarming. That's all.
Joshua Perkins thinks it's funny.
It's gonna be like 5 years from now.
I'll be laughing. I'll be laughing all the way to the bank with this one. All the way to the bank.
I'll meet you there to collect my check.
I'm just gonna point out who scored more points in week 10.
Oh man,
I love this so much.
Who scored more in week 7?
I'm done.
What did week 8 and 9 have in common? No Matt Ryan. Wait, let's go back a little bit.
Okay.
Week 7, 12 targets. Week 6, 11 targets. Week 10, 9 targets. Who's the WR one? You sure it's Michael Pittman? Are you sure? What if it's Paris Campbell?
Was that? Oh.
What if he's the number 1 wide receiver and you didn't know? Take a look at how many targets Pittman had. Wait, week 7, only 9? 16. Oops. Wait, he only scored 12 points last week. He only got 10 points when Paris got you 20. And even off the 16 target week in week 6, Paris Campbell
only got you 30 points.
Well, I got you 30, but Paris got you 24. Paris got you 24.
The next time Paris Campbell's in the winning Millie lineup will be the first time, Geek.
Nope, he was in it multiple times already this year. He has been in there multiple times this season.
Okay, let's go to tight end.
Yeah, of course. As soon as I said, I hope it doesn't. It froze up. Oh, his computer froze up. That's right. There's a lot of calculations. All right, let's talk some tight end. Sorry, guys. I think the private chat is like, we got to roll. Tight end position. Also kind of gross this week.
Yeah, very gross this week.
Andrews, Q tag, coming back, but you got to pay up. A little scary, right? Hawkinson, shockingly high number of targets for Hawkinson in his first 2 games. Unheard of, really, with the new team. That's interesting. How are you guys going at tight end this week, though? BobbyWow, before you have to run.
I'm paying down at wide receiver, and I am paying up for Mark Andrews. I love the ceiling. I love it's going to be lower ownership than normal. Mm-hmm. And the salary is lower than normal, too. So love me some Mark Andrews this week. He's going to be my top dog at tight end.
Wow. Okay, I was not expecting to hear that. I found it's difficult to squeeze him in there. You pretty much need to punt all three, or at least two of the three wide receiver spots to get there. It's very tricky to fit him in, but Andrews is a 28 fantasy point machine. How about you, Burns? Burns, you've always got some real systems in place for the tight end position.
I mean, the tight ends are pretty easy. Just stick to your favorites. 45-point over-unders, 24-point implied team totals on the favorites. I know there are people out there that say, well, the non-favorites win too. They're in the winning Millie Maker lineups too. Yeah, I get that, but they're not as much.
Who are these favorite tight ends? I can't find any. Wait a minute. I'm like,
Schultz. I know, right? Dalton Schultz is a good one this week. Greg Dulcich, he's actually favored this week. Right now,
Hayden Hurst,
but I don't like the matchup for Hurst. I think
Dawson?
it's a tough matchup. I don't really like Dawson Knox's usage right now. It's pretty simple. I mean, stick with Schultz, stick with Dulcich, stick with Andrews on the higher end. And if you want to get like little weird in a high total game, go with Pitts with stack with Mariota. So, I mean, it's not that hard this week.
I think it's just play Schultz. Josiah, you got anything for this?
Yeah, I think you can play Higbee too. More targets to go around. Same argument, different player.
I don't like the matchup, though. I think New Orleans is a beast against tight ends.
Yeah, I think that's the tough part about any of these guys, and that's why they're going to be low owned and just getting some exposure to it.
Saints absolutely erase tight ends. They're really, really good at that. They've done a good job. So yeah, it's tricky. I love Schultz, so I don't think you need to go too far away from him. He's still underpriced for the role. And what more do you need to really know? Like, Dak likes Schultz. It's a high scoring affair. They're favored. Good enough for me. He's still cheap. Good enough for me. If I have to go away from him, I don't mind Patty Freiermuth. This dude is getting a lot of looks from his quarterback. So I like Freiermuth a little bit. 7 targets, 9 targets over the last 3 weeks. Those are good numbers for a $4,200 player. As a matter of fact, I'll take 9 targets from a wide receiver in the 5K range. So I'm happy to take it for a touchdown catching tight end for less money, and then go right back to Cole Kmet. Cold hands. Why not? The team found Stoll. Could we? I should have asked Gargano this when I had him on the Wise Guys earlier. Like, is Stoll viable? They actually have some other tight end that is like the pass catching tight end on the Eagles, whose name again escapes me. So I don't think you need to go there. I don't love Dulcich just because Burns. I know he's been weirdly chalk, and I just want to get away from that donkey chalk. So Bobby, if you got to run, head out. Awesome stuff.
Love you guys.
But I don't love. And we'll just wrap it up here. But I don't love Dulcich one bit. I just think he's weirdly chalk. Like, I don't know.
He's just cheap. I mean, he's like what is he? 3,400?
No, he's up in 4K. He's 38, I think. I just it's just all right for me.
I mean, it's 3,800. I mean, whatever. It's not that.
It's mostly because he just got weirdly chalky last week, and I couldn't even like, who was doing this? Why?
Yeah.
And so once that happened, I was just, it turned me off a little bit. Just turned me off a little bit on him. But anyway, let's wrap it up there, guys. This was another awesome tournament tactics. If you're watching, if you enjoy what we're doing, guys, please, I implore you, smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of DFS content. We got more and more coming out. We need to.
I got one more that might be extremely low owned, and his target share is starting to go up. Is Logan Thomas from Washington?
Yeah, Logan is kind of somebody I've been forced to play in some season longs. He'll need to make a move, though. I get it, but also I'm not sure the upside is. He's not winning us a tournament this week.
Yeah, but 2.8K.
Is he 2.8?
It's like 2.8K. What's he got to get? 2.8.
He's dirt cheap.
Ooh, I did not see that, and I do like that. I love the price. I love a sub 3K.
And his target share is going up. So I mean, might be time to hop on. And Houston is not.
Mhm.
They're okay against tight ends, but they're
Pretty
not
average.
great.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Like a last second.
Yeah, I do
bonus
too. That's
for
a good
anyone.
one.
By the way, a lot of
It's
people
in the
like
Chronicles.
a lot of people X'd out because I started doing the outro,
Yeah.
and then they missed that golden nugget from Burns about
He's in the,
Logan
he's in the
Thomas.
Chronicles too.
Yeah,
for all
everybody's
the
like, I
DFS
didn't see you say
Army
anything about
guys.
that. Yeah, I know when you X'd out. So anyway, again, like, subscribe, do us a solid. Let us know you're out there. Let us know your favorite plays this week. I forgot to ask it throughout. Of course,
I gotta ask you guys one question before we bounce.
Okay.
I know DFS Up North is on to Melvin Gordon, but I actually kind of like Lats Murray at 5K this week more. If you wanted a running back in Denver, I think Lats Murray can actually produce more valuable fantasy production than Melvin Gordon. So that's, if I was going Denver with running backs, I'd go Lats Murray over Melvin.
Yeah, I didn't increase my exposure to Lats Murray, but I left him in my pool too for the same reason.
I was gonna say, can we just not play those running backs and just be?
I'm just saying because it's, I don't know. It's just one of those weird games that they could go off. You know, I mean the defense they're going up against is porous against running backs. So.
It could, but then there's Chase Edmonds over there too. He hasn't gotten many opportunities though.
It's Las Vegas Raiders. You know, they're really bad against running
Raiders
backs.
are bad against everything.
They're pretty bad. Period.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Let's wrap it up there, guys. Tournament Tactics NFL Week 11. We will see you guys. We got to figure something out for Thanksgiving week. Let's have a meeting. We're going to all have a meeting and figure out what we're doing for Thanksgiving. I think we're going to change up the schedule a little bit, get a Thanksgiving show going, get a main slate show going. So maybe we'll bring back the Quad Goat crew for a Thanksgiving slate breakdown. Maybe we'll keep it VIP only and just give it to the DFS Army subscribers. And, you know, hey, going to keep it behind the paywall. So if you're not behind that paywall and you're not getting all of our content, make sure you signed up at DFS Army. Get the best tools, advice, crew, community, everything you need, family, the whole deal for DFS. That's where you want to be. And for Josiah, for Burns, for Bobby Wow, we'll see you guys next time on another Tournament Tactics.
Peace, guys.
Take